Happy Tuesday to you, everyone. Hope you're doing well out there. It's a beautiful day out here in the mountains today. Plenty of sunshine, but man, is it cold. Well, today's topic, I want to talk about acquired deafness in dogs. You know, it's not unusual, and in fact, I just heard just a little bit ago, to hear gunshots going off up here in the mountains. Yeah, it is what it is. You get a lot of guys out there, they're, especially this time of year, they're deer hunting. They're also probably trying to sight in their rifle. Some are just plinking, just doing target practice. It's just not unusual to hear gunfire. And also, when you meet these guys and you talk to them that are hunters, most of them have a dog with them. So they take their dogs along with them on the hunting, and they're pretty handy to have. Because if they wound an animal, then the animal can be used, the dog can be used to track down the animal so it doesn't suffer. And also can be used to retrieve prey, can also be used to locate prey. So it's not unusual to have dogs accompany hunters. So it's kind of coincidental that I got this question asked from an avid hunter who's concerned that, man, is he causing his dog to become deaf? He's noticed some signs lately. The dog's just not responding as quickly to commands. The dog is closer to him, not at a long range, and yet not coming to the sound of the whistle like he used to. And he's really concerned that's not disobedience, it's hearing loss. And I tell you what, this is a very valid concern. In fact, a lot of studies have been done recently. In fact, one by the University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign, did one in which they studied the effects of gunfire on police service dogs, working dogs, gun dogs. And they wanted to just see, what's it like to have these animals and around you when they're being subjected to a high volume of gunfire. Really loud reports from rifles. Is it causing any damage to the dog's hearing? And lo and behold, it is. And as a matter of fact, it's causing a lot of damage. In fact, 2 out of 3 of the dogs that they studied has suffered acquired deafness. I mean, they didn't just lose hearing loss. They were now deaf. And for a lot of those dogs, they can probably pick up and do okay with hand signals. But still, it's life cut in half. It's the quality of life cut in half. Many times you'll run into deafness in canines it's congenital defect with them. It's something that they're born with that, they probably can't help. It's just something that's inheritable. And when that happens, then usually the breeders advise as such and told, don't breed anymore. You see a lot in Dalmatians, and you see it in many breeds out there. Merle breeds, merle-colored animals, white-colored animals, even in the wild. Even cattle dogs can be born with a high rate of congenital deafness. I wonder if sometimes that's why cattle dog doesn't listen to me. Maybe he just can't hear me. But the biggest reason why your dog can go deaf is either due to trauma to the middle ear, infections, or old age. Yeah, I noticed my hearing is not as good as what it used to be. And my hearing has suffered greatly from gunfire and things that went boom in my ear in the military. I've never listened to loud music. I don't go to really any sort of rock concerts. Well, no one's doing that right now, but I didn't ever really do it before. So I think some of my hearing loss is just mostly from getting older and also from being around things that went boom in my ear. If you have a ruptured eardrum, then most dogs can recover from that. But if it's damage to the temporal bone or the myelin destruction in the middle ear, they don't really recover from that. And the cause for that is gunfire. And for a lot of you who are not avid hunters, you don't really care about shooting a gun around your dog. Know this, there's actually more damage occurring from people listening to extremely loud music, whether it be in their house or in their car, in the company of their dog. So think about that. I've seen that and heard that many times. I've listened to cars pull behind me. I know you have. And they got the big subwoofers going boom, 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 boom. Your windows start rattling. Your keys are shaking. You look down at your cup with the liquid in it, and it's moving all around like someone just tossed a stone in there. And you think, good Lord, really? Does it need to be that loud? And then the car passes you, thank goodness. And you look over there, and there's a dog. And I start thinking, Wow. It's one thing for you to go deaf because you willfully listen to that super loud music, but you're subjecting your dog to it. At our vet hospital, sorry, a little cold out here. My cheeks are getting a little numb, so I got to get to this quickly. Otherwise, I won't be able to talk at all. But at our vet hospital, we used to perform what was called BEAR testing, brainstem auditory evoked response, to check for hearing in dogs. And I'm telling you what, the vast majority by far that we encountered that had incurred acquired deafness was from super loud stereos. Absolutely, not from gunfire, yeah, that does cause it, but mostly from loud music. So please pay attention to that. If you want to go deaf, that's your business. But please don't drag your dog down into that silent world with you. And in most cases, the damage occurs from the proximity to the music, meaning it's one thing to fire off a gun and your dog's 100 yards away. It's another thing to fire off that gun and your dog's sitting right there next to you. Kind of like what dogs do that are in blinds. Man, a lot of these studies have been working on doing research with duck hunting dogs that do have to sit right there, usually next to the hunter, in a boat, in a blind, and boom, off goes those shotguns, multiple fires, rounds being expended. And what happens to these dogs? And they're finding out that before these dogs even reach 7, most of them are deaf. Something we got to watch out for, guys. Just kind of keep it this way. From a science level, the sensitivity of our hearing, we can hear down to about 0 decibels. A dog can hear down to minus 15 decibels. That's why they can hear that little mouse scurrying around in the subnivean space, rustling in the grass over here. That call of that elk a few miles away. They can hear things, feel things that we can't because their hearing is more sensitive than ours. So kind of let me just give you a little bit of a range here of what we have. The damage to the human ear usually occurs at about 85 decibels. And again, a lot of it depends upon proximity to the source and also duration. Do you hear this every day? Are you subjected to this day in, day out? You work for a really loud factory, or you work for a kennel in which dogs are barking nonstop. You have to be very careful when you're around this, because did you know that a lot of conversations that are had with people are around the 60 to 70 decibel range? So you're not talking a whole lot to get to 85 decibels where you start to incur some damage. You start to incur a lot of damage at about 150 decibel. And that's what gunfire is. Gunfire is 140 to 150 decibel depending on the caliber of the rifle. Stereos have been known to be upwards of 120 to 180. Are you kidding me? 180 decibel? Now imagine you've got your dog in the back seat, especially where all that stuff's mounted, where the big boy speakers are. Jeez, don't be doing that, people. Please don't be doing that. It's just a really bad thing. Okay, so if you think that your dog might have some hearing loss, might be suffering from a little damage, maybe you're sitting there going, oh, geez, dang, I do love my music, but man, I got to turn it down. Like what Bryan said, I don't want my dog to become deaf. Here's some signs that your dog may already be incurring some hearing loss. First one is just simply non-responsive. Yeah, again, we always say, especially like us guys, we have that, what do you say out there with that? We can control our hearing. We have selected hearing. Our deafness, absolutely we do. It's a hereditary thing. It's genetic. You know how it is. But for the most part, yes, your dog can ignore you, and it will ignore you. But you know what I'm talking about. The thing where your dog's sitting right next to you and you go, hey, cow dog, let's go outside. Nothing. He's asleep. Cow dog. Nothing. Still asleep. Wake up. And finally, you might see just a little eyeball come open. Wait a minute. It never took. Man, are you tired of what, dude? But then you notice it day in and day out. And they're slow to respond to commands. Suddenly, you have to be closer to the dog. You have to raise the volume of your voice. Whatever signal you're giving, you're having to increase the volume of that signal just to be able to reach your dog. So take a look at that. That's if you observe that, man, pay attention to it. Be on the alert, because that's one of the first symptoms that you'll see. Another one that you'll see is startled. They become startled very quickly, or very easily, I should say. You walk up on your dog and all of a sudden, oh, geez. Seriously? You didn't know that was me? I'm walking across a wooden floor here with boots on. No, they didn't hear you. So they startle easy. Other dogs do what's called excessive barking. So if you have a dog that barks all the time, one of the physiological reasons for that could be, I don't hear myself. Kind of like, I guess, if you're deaf, you wouldn't hear yourself if you're trying to talk. Same thing goes for dogs. So they'll just bark, 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 and they feel something. They're releasing energy, but they actually don't even get that biofeedback. So keep an eye out for excessive barking. And, all these things just kind of contribute to it. And sometimes you have to look at a culmination of symptoms, not just one in particular. But you know what I'm talking about. You're the dog's owner. You know that dog better than anyone else. And when something all of a sudden gets your attention, like the old saying goes, if you want to get someone's attention, just whisper. Yeah, same thing. If you're having to shout and not whisper, your dog could be suffering from deafness. But here's some good news. If it's acquired deafness, many times like a ruptured eardrum and much of the damage that has incurred can be repaired to a degree. You're never going to reset all the way back to where you were. But to a degree, there's lots of medicines or surgery that can be performed. So you need to check with your veterinarian about that if you suspect your dog having some acquired deafness. Okay, so what are some things you can do if, your vet tells you, man, dude, you did it, man. You listened to that rock station way too loud for way too long with your dog in the back seat, or you've been firing off one hunting rifle after another, and your dog has now suffered from some major hearing loss. So what are some things you can do? Well, first of all, you can compensate by using hand signals. Again, they're not as great. Hand signals only work if the dog can see you, if they can see the hand signal being given. With deaf dogs that I've worked with in the past out in places like this, out in the wild, where they roam away from me, I'll use a remote training collar set on the vibration setting. And then I can touch it, and I train them long before I do let them loose, that when you feel that you need to be looking for dear old Bryan. So I'm over here going, come on, doing this thing here. Yeah, and by the way, if you're working with a deaf dog, go ahead and say something. It's really weird to stand next to someone going, or worse yet, they're just whispering. God damn. It's funny. Now be real. Hey, come over here, buddy. Get back over here. Lay down. Hey, stay. Do all that sort of stuff. Just go about it, but again, accentuate those hand signals. And know this as well. When you're giving hand signals to a deaf dog that's a distance away from you, the further that dog is from you, the more your signals have to leave the center torso portion of your body. Yeah, so you got to really just kind of stick it on out there. Like, right turn, Clyde, stick it on out there, and then bring it back in. Everything has to be accentuated. Everything much more dramatic, much more flair, so they can see it. Remember their eye makeup, more rods and cones, designed to see movement in low light, but movement nevertheless. So sometimes if you don't make that movement very obvious to your dog, they won't see it. Also, think about keeping your dog on a leash a little bit more. So again, maybe turn it loose in someplace like here, but if you're around town, you're in an urban setting, think about keeping that dog on a leash more, because here's why. They can't hear approaching danger. Deaf dogs can get hit by a car a lot faster than a dog that can hear. They have a difficult time avoiding danger because they're simply not aware of it. So you will have to save the dog from itself. Think about on leash. Think about maybe keeping your dog in a fenced-in backyard. Take precautions because the dog doesn't know. It's just going to travel through the world, gets fixated on the dog across the street, and there it goes. Whereas a dog that can hear would have at least had some warning that there was an approaching car. At least an auditory signal, auditory warning. Well, of course, your deaf dog or your dog's just even hard of hearing may not have that life-saving benefit. So therefore, you're going to have to watch out for it. Okay, guys, just to wrap it up just here real quick, and then I'm going to get out of here. It's like 20 degrees out here. I know it looks nice back here with all that sun and everything, but it is chilly today, even for me. I usually walk around bragging that, man, I'll wear a T-shirt down to minus 20. Well, maybe back in my Alaskan youth, I would have done that, but no longer. I've been in Memphis too long, so I got to acclimate to this cold a little bit more. Okay, so wrapping up real quick. A lot of deafness is caused by congenital effects, there defects in the animal, but today I'm mostly focusing on acquired deafness. Know that gunshots are at a range that can cause serious damage to an animal very quickly. So can loud stereos. Oh, and by the way, just real quick, before I forget about it, I forgot to mention another thing you can do. They make these things called mutt muffs. Yeah, mutt muffs. They're over the head headphones for your dog with the chin strap. Yeah, they're pretty cool. And there are a lot of testimonies on. I've never put one on a dog, but I have heard many hunters say that they use them with their dogs, and their dogs have suffered no hearing loss. So it's called mutt, M-U-T-T, muffs, M-U-F-F. Okay, so acquired deafness. Be careful around gunfire. Be careful around playing those loud stereos with your dog in the back. Use the mutt muffs, or please remove your dog from that. If you even suspect your dog suffering from hearing loss because they're not responding the way they used to, they seem to startle easily, it's hard to wake them up, they're doing excessive barking, they're just frenetic all the time, take your dog to your veterinarian and have their hearing checked out. At a minimum, at least it's a peace of mind for you, or, you know, the old saying, which devil's worse, the one you know or the one you don't know. Well, now you know this one. So you have predictive information, which allows you to control what happens with your dog and what happens with your dog's training. Think about using hand signals. Think about using a remote training collar set on the vibration button and teach your dog that when it feels that, that's like a command. You need to be looking in my direction. Now I'll give you the subsequent command after you feel that vibration. And then also think about that keeping your dog on a leash and maybe keeping it in the yard, because remember, it doesn't have the benefit of hearing to warn it of any impending danger. That's it. Okay, I know you've listened to me. You've heard enough, and enough of the puns, Brian. I'm out of here. You guys have a great day. I'll check in with you tomorrow. Hopefully it'll be a little bit warmer. Where's old Cal Dog? Cal Dog! Oh, there he is. Hey, he's still got good hearing. Check you guys out later. Bye.